Hey there, Groovesters, Groove Stars, Ridgely here with another Lessons from the CEO, and I'm delighted to be joined by a powerhouse visionary woman, Marquesa Pettway, who founded the Virtual Biz Club. And we're going to talk all about how to use technology smartly, intelligently. The expertise that you have, Marquesa, is going to be fabulous. But before we do any of that, take us back. Were you always an entrepreneur? Did you go the corporate route? How did you make the pivot? What did that look like? Give us a little bit of the background.
Oh my gosh, I love this question, Wrigley. I love it. Well, I always wanted to be a TV broadcaster. And it went from a little bit of a TV broadcaster to an actress and an entertainer. And I'm happy to say I did a little bit of all of that. When I graduated from college, graduated from Texas Southern University in Houston, I got an opportunity to intern at CNN. And this is probably my fourth type of internship, but this was upon graduation. And CNN at that time, and this was in 93, CNN was headquartered in Atlanta. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, I can handle Atlanta. Little did I know that they meant New York City because business markets or business news, I should say, is located here in New York City. And I thought, oh no, I'm not trying to go there and get killed. Are you crazy? However, like many of us, I had multiple jobs in college, and one of my jobs was working at a upscale bar, where the drinks are like $20 for a Coke. And the one of the top dogs, I can't remember his exact title, but I remember his name. I'll never forget his name. Ted Murdoch would come by there probably once a month. And he would always check in with me and see, so what's been going on with you? And I would always share. And I told him about this opportunity. And I said, well, I was excited to intern for CNN, but I'm not moving to New York to get killed. No, thank you. I'm a Texas girl. And he says, you know what? Do me a favor. Can I have your address? I'm going to send you something in the mail. And I just don't want you to give up on what this dream is because anything is possible. I said, okay. And about less than a month later, I got something in the mail, and it was a laptop, a first class ticket to New York City, and a phone number of a couple that would be willing to put me up, help me out for a little while I moved here. So took them up on it, made all of the reservations, decided to go for it. Come on now, right? And then I moved to New York in 1993 when I graduated from college, and I worked for CNN for 4 years, started as an unpaid intern and worked myself up to associate producer of Managing with Lou Dobbs. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny, Wrigley, because I really wanted to get on the fifth floor, which was entertainment news, but I'm a guy. I couldn't tell them what to do. So I stayed there for about 4 years before I realized I hate this. I hate this. I hate this stuff. I want to be on air. But if you know anything about the news business, you kind of got to go to a small market and work your way up. So I left there, went into corporate America, worked for AT&T Business Markets in Lower Manhattan, became the top sales executive out of 200 plus, and then got promoted to only 2 weeks later, and this was about 10 years, guys, to be downsized. And I said, I'm tired of this. I want to set my own destiny. I don't want anyone else to decide for me. And I asked myself a question while I was taking a shower, and I was very emotional about what's next for me. I mean, I've had all the success in corporate. I've had the success in TV news. What's my next step? And I said, well, Marquesa, what is it that you really want to do? Like, what's that stinky dream that, that seems just unattainable? And I said, you know what that stinky, unattainable dream is for me? I want to be on stage. I want to be on stage. I want to talk to people. I want to do all of this stuff. And I skipped over it. But while I worked at AT&T, we would have employee conferences, and I was chosen as an MC. So I've had that experience about being on a stage in front of thousands. And I said, that's what I want to do for a living. But I just didn't know if I could make that connection from free to fee. And but I guess praying, talking to God, asking him for direction, it all worked out. Joined National Speakers Association, got some leads on companies that would hire speakers. I got hired and I toured the country and sometimes out of the country for, I don't know what's with for, but for 4 years before, and which was great. I made little to no money, but it was wonderful. And I learned all sorts of things. And it was amazing just talking to a different group every day, conferences, creative labs. It was ridiculous how amazing it was. And then I finally decided to go out on my own since I had some clients and contracts and all that good stuff. And I've been on my own now for 19 years.
Very nice. And so when you made that decision, I'm going out on my own, how was that at the beginning for you? How difficult was it? How challenging? What were the things that kind of were, oh man, I got to figure this one out or else?
Oh my goodness. Well, speaking in a different city every day with these they're called training companies, and they send you out. You can be out on the road 7 days straight. I was on the road for like 6 days and then off the road and back on the road. I gained all this weight. I was lonely as all get out. you know, I I loved it. I loved every minute I was on stage, but everything else was tough. And I wanted to make more money because, of course, there was a middleman who got the big bucks and I got the tiny bucks. So I said, Marquesa, if I want to make decisions. I want to decide when I'm going to get on that plane. I want to do all of this myself. So it came from a need of me wanting to own my own business life, whatever that was. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. Matter of fact, it took me years before I would even call myself an entrepreneur. And I created a word, literally, called speakerpreneur, because I kept saying, but I'm not an entrepreneur. So speakerpreneur, and that has since changed to virtual businesspreneur. But to your question, I was not happy with my lifestyle. And so my goal, and I didn't know that it was called this at the time, was to create a lifestyle business that I could love. And yes. And then I had contacts and connections. When you're with the seminar companies, you're not really allowed to, contact any of their clients. But what happens is sometimes, think about it, I had anywhere from 50 to 500 people in my audiences, and they wouldn't forget you. I have a unique name. They will call me up, hey, can you speak here? I could do it. And so I had a lot of faith, perseverance. And then I knew I had to make a change with the lifestyle, not just based on what I've already said, but I was starting to struggle driving from one city to the other. And that was getting dangerous. So yeah, I can only do that for so long. And again, I appreciate that. It's kind of like I was paying my dues, but it wasn't something for me to do forever. And it was scary leaving, but it worked. It really did.
And I think that happens to a lot of people. They just get so fed up with whatever it is and sick and tired of being sick and tired and just say, okay, I'm going to give this my best shot. And sometimes it works out. Oftentimes it doesn't, but great for you. I think it's fantastic that it did. I know that my parents divorced when I was 6 years old and I started traveling. My mom took us all over the world, and I ended up stopping traveling with this thing called the pandemic. Wow. I had been on the road for my entire life.
Wow.
So comfortable with it, lived in different continents. And I finally got home on the pandemic and couldn't leave anymore. And it was like, wait, the food's better here. Wait, I like my yoga studio, even though they're separating us by pieces of tape now because of the pandemic. Yeah. Oh, my wife still likes me. Maybe I'm not doing this anymore. And that's what stopped me from traveling was the pandemic. And since the pandemic, when we learned how to take our message out to the masses in the virtual environment, using Zoom and whatever tools other people use. I like Zoom better than anything. I know you do too. We just made a pivot and said, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not spending 50 to 60% of my life on the road anymore because I got sick of it. And when you see the contrast,
there you go.
I like hotels and everything, but I kind of like my own bed better than that hotel bed, even if somebody else makes it for me. Anyway, so
I agree. I want to be in control of my choices. I still love to travel, but I wasn't really experiencing any of the cities. It was kind of like, fly in the night before, get some sleep, get up early, get into the seminar room. My assistant whatever assistant they would assign to me for that day would register people and get everything set up. And then boom, I'd come in and do what I did. And I would speak for anywhere from about, I'd say 4 to 6 hours with a break in there a little bit. So it was, and a conference was even more engaged. Something else too that I did while I was on the road was I created other income streams. Matter of fact, one of the main income streams that I created, and I didn't even know that that's what I was doing, was my own group coaching. And initially it started off as people reaching out to me saying, oh, Marquesa, can you teach me how to do this? Can you teach me how to do that? And clearly I didn't have a lot of time. And one of the things that would annoy me is when someone would ask me, how do I do this? And, in a coaching session, you share how they should do it. And then they'd email you later and say, what was that? And I said, oh, no, I can't do one-on-one all the time. And I don't know why. Maybe I think I was born strategic, Ridley, where I always think about what is going to give me the most bang for my buck, if that makes sense. So I quickly created the National Center for Speakerpreneur Training. And again, speakerpreneurs. And believe it or not, I wind up having my first, like a mini conference, if you will. It was like 50 people signed up. So it wasn't a conference. It was more of a, I forget what we call them. When it's like you do it for 3 days straight and it's sun up to sundown. It's a word for it, but I can't think of what it is. And I hired an audio guy and a video guy and wound up selling those same CDs over and over. It was CDs back then, over and over and over again. So how I prepared was thinking, I needed more income streams because the only one I had was from the seminar companies, and that was very little. So that was a huge lesson for me in terms of, if you want to really do this on your own, you got to know your income streams. And it saved me big time and allowed me to be able to kind of live my dreams out, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, the old adage, don't give up your day job until your other job is replacing that income, is very real. But you get yourself in a big old bunch of trouble.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you can't pay rent, and kids have problems and everybody else has challenges. So along your journey, tell us now, 19 years in the entrepreneurial space, so to speak, whether we call it that or not, what do you think are the top characteristics of a successful entrepreneur? What do they need? What do we need to cultivate to be successful?
Well, you know what? First things first is define what success is to you. Define what success is to you, because my definition of success may be different from your definition of success. For me, it's wanting to get out of bed because I truly love what I'm doing, and what I'm doing comes natural to me, So I think entrepreneurs, and I know this because a lot of them are in my virtual business club or licensees of mine, or even colleagues, often, especially now, with the pandemic changed the world. I mean, it actually changed my business as well. And I can talk about that later if you like. But one of the things that I see is people will just say, well, I'm just going to start doing this so I can make money. That is the wrong way to go. You have to ask yourself, would I do this for free? If you would do it for free, then the fees will follow. So loving what you're doing and knowing that you're good at it. You know what I mean? And one of the hardest lessons, oh my gosh, about being what I call a virtual bizpreneur is, or just an entrepreneur in general, is we got to do so much. We got to worry about the back end, the front end, sales, marketing, delivery, all of these pieces. And I was sharing with you earlier, Wrigley, I'm ADHD, clinically diagnosed. And it's a superpower, but it's also a challenge in some ways. And boy, oh boy, you will struggle with some part of the business. Like I can create things in my sleep. Members would fly to New York for VIP days with me. I've had VIP day weekends where each person would pay. And it depends on the program they were in, but as little as 5,000 all the way up to 30,000. And just for me to map out their entire business, So that creativity has always been a huge part of my superpower. And yeah, so I think success, as you said before, is number one, what does it mean to you? What does it look like? Create a vision board. I have a vision board right there that I look at every single day. That vision board keeps me on target, And so I know what success looks like to me. I surround myself with others that I consider successful. And then I also get clarity on what is truly my gift. What am I meant to do? Would I do this for free? That kind of thing. And I can never stop learning. Jesus, never stop learning, because you're going to suck in some areas and you're going to be great in others. So always have that mind of learning, get engaged with whatever your association is. Mine is national speakers as well as Kajabi and some other groups. But yeah, the connections are invaluable. Yeah. So that's what I would say is that successful one. Be careful about thinking, because believe me, there are millionaires that are miserable and there are broke people that are happy. So it's important to define what success looks like to you. And for me, it's that lifestyle business, which is why that's what I teach my members to have. That's where Virtual Bizpreneur came in, is, okay, a lot of us work virtually, whether we're with clients or not with clients, or with clients virtually. But are we working the hours we want to work? Are we making the money? Are we leveraging technology and let it work for us? So that's my whole thing about what does that look like to have the business of my dreams based on my lifestyle.
And so talk to us a little bit about that constant learning piece that you just mentioned. How important is it to be doing personal, professional development, finding mentors, that kind of thing? Talk to us about that.
It is everything. It really is. And I have to say this. I know that it can be scary to invest in a conference. Oh my gosh, I got to pay thousands of dollars to go, or in a membership. Can you believe they're charging us $1,200 a year? Or to invest in this course or this tool or this business coach. But guess what? It's going to be even scarier if 5 years, 10 years, 15, so on years down, you're still struggling because you took the turtle route. The turtle is moving slowly, thinking about it, not really making concrete decisions. So identify someone who is doing what you want to do, someone who is on that track, and someone who has the expertise to show you how to do it. That mentor, that business coach, that club, whatever it is everything when it comes to your business. And I'm going to tell you, I know some of them are my colleagues, even maybe some of my members. But when you try to avoid ever investing in your personal and professional development, you pay the price in another way. You pay the price in another way. You pay the price with, oh, now I got to figure it out. Please do not be under the misconception that, oh, there's a Google. I could just Google search it. There's 15,000 things. I love Mr. Google, but I use him strategically. I do not use Google to 100% fulfill my knowledge. Does that make sense? And I go and I pay for it. And sometimes when we pay for something, we value it more. I pay for a coach's wisdom. I pay for, and then when I'm in person, my gosh, the relationships, the referrals we give each other is unbelievable. But you've got to invest in yourself instead of doing the cheap, oh, I'll piecemeal and I'll get this from her, this from her, this from her. There's only so many hours in a day. So yeah, do it. You got to do it. But it really just depends on how serious you are about your business. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I can tell you, it was interesting because much of the work that we do at my enterprise is in helping people come up with authentic messaging, being genuine. What's your why, and how good are you at expressing what you believe?
Mm-hmm.
And when AI came around, what used to take a full day, if not 2 days, suddenly now takes 20 minutes if done properly by somebody who has the expertise.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an immediate, okay, let's reinvent ourselves completely and let's just pivot because that's what entrepreneurs do. And now I run an AI mastermind.
There you
So,
go. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. I completely agree. And then that's another thing, a little tip. The pandemic shifted my business because before the pandemic, I was more so focused on the speakerpreneur life. And not only was I speaking on technology, but communications, team building, all these things I love to speak on and talk about. And of course, you know, I had a lot of speakerpreneurs flying out here getting VIP day makeovers. Well, of course, all of that was shut down during the pandemic. But something I did a good portion of the 19 years I've been in business is I've always leveraged technology. And when I first met Zoom, it was love at first sight. And this was when Zoom first came out. I mean, I was one of the early adopters. And I remember those other platforms. And they just, it was something I liked about one, but they didn't have this. They did have this. Then I met Zoom and I said, oh my goodness, I just liked, because way back then, there's so many things we did not have that we have now on Zoom. But I loved it. And I started to use it with all of my members around the world. I've always had membership groups. So with all my members everywhere, I started to use it, record it, send it out to them. And then I would go to National Speakers Association conference every year. And before we would head out there, I would put in our Facebook group, hey guys, anyone want to do a Zoom meetup? It was so funny how a lot of my colleagues were like, okay, Marquesa, but they would come and then they would be blown away because they had no idea that they could do all this stuff on Zoom. And to be even more specific, I'm a CSP, certified speaking professional. And I was at our CSP summit. And one of the activities we get to do on the last day is we as the audience get to choose who we want to hear from or what topic we want to hear about, kind of a combination of two. And so my mastermind group, who you would spend the previous 2 days with, said, Marquesa knows an awful lot about Zoom. Now, this is pre-pandemic. And so you need to hear her. So I got up and just shared some tips about Zoom. People were just dumbfounded. And I literally, and it makes me feel good, changed really the landscape of leveraging Zoom as a speaker within the National Speakers Association. If you go to their website, you'll see me on there talking about Zoom. So I was using Zoom before then. So then when the pandemic hit, oh my goodness, I couldn't sleep. I literally I had every client under the sun. It was unbelievable. And my business went to another level. That's when I created the Virtual Business Club. And I also became a licensor of Zoom licenses that's primarily for entrepreneurs. And it's usually something that the average person can't afford. So they have to find somebody like me in order to become one of my licensees. And I just love it because it saves me time, money, energy, and takes my visibility and my influence to the next level. It's amazing.
Yeah, and you just got, and I love the fact that you just took the opportunity and ran with it, which is what so many do. So, a couple other thoughts for you. Switching gears a bit, tell us about some setback, colossal or not, that you went through during your entrepreneurial journey and what you took away from it.
Oh my goodness. There's so many. so,
Most of us have.
so many. One was when I was in corporate America, I was making six figures, making great money. And, when I started to speak for the seminar companies, I joke, but I'm serious. I would joke and say they would pay us $2 an hour because it was weird. We didn't make a lot, but it's kind of like any other, cool job where you're the newbie and you make little to nothing. So just imagine what happened to my income. And I'm living in New York City. Luckily, I've been in my apartment for 25 years, but early on, I was in court trying to save my apartment. Let me tell you, I was struggling to pay my bills. I had to make payment plans of the Kawazu. So early on, financial, it was scary. And I just look back and I go, oh, I'm so happy, thank God, that I survived all of that. But it was worth it to me to get here. So that was one of them. Another one too is, oh my goodness, is isolation and loneliness and really learning how to get comfortable enough in your own environment without other people around where you can still, do your best work. That was hard for me. I was so close to Dr. Jeff. There's some celebrities that will stay in this building, not a lot. That's just all over New York, by the way. And Dr. Jeff stayed, I think, on a fifth floor. I'm on the top floor. And he had a 2-bedroom apartment, but he had a house somewhere else. And so he was in the speaking industry and he was going to, lease space to me. And I said, how cool is that? I just need to walk down the stairs. And then he pulled out. I probably shouldn't have said his name. Anyway, he pulled out. He's doing fine, y'all. He pulled out, and I remember just being so distraught. And I don't know if you remember this, Wrigley, for a while. Remember, and I think they're still around. Remember those places where you have to pay all this money for like sort of an office, but not really? You know what I'm talking about? Those little places. Mm-hmm. So I was going to do that, but those were way too expensive. So I had to get comfortable in my own space. And here's something big with me being a huge creative, is I had to learn how to work according to my brain chemistry. I had to learn how to respect when I just didn't want to just sit in front of a computer and work. You know what I mean? Instead, I need to, maybe get up and just, I don't know, sit outside or sit on my couch because I'm in that creative zone. Like I live on my iPad Pro, as much as I live on my MacBook Pro. So just really honoring how your brain thinks. And it's just a whole thing, just getting comfortable with this lifestyle. It's a process, y'all. And I would say the last thing, and again, there's a zillion of them, is, and maybe this is just me, may not be an entrepreneurial thing, but being okay with not fitting in. Literally, because you're around others that may not be in the entrepreneurial world or may not understand, how you do what you do and blah, blah, blah. And that is okay. So it took me a while to kind of get there. So it's been many, y'all, but I'm so glad that I've been able to overcome them. And I guess the last thing I would say is just don't lose yourself. You're going to get involved in situations that may turn political. You may find that, oh, that wasn't fair how that happened, or I really wanted that mastermind and it didn't work out, or, oh, I didn't get that contract, or they chose that speaker. It's so many different things you're going to go through. Make sure you have people you can call just to talk things out that get you and understand your walk and your journey. And for me, faith, talking to God, having that conversation, having that relationship makes all the difference in the world, because it can do some tricks on your you know your heart, your soul, everything. So, but I love it. I absolutely love living, living my best life, by, doing what I love and helping people the way I want to help.
You know, my favorite question that I'd love to ask is this. Knowing all that you know now, basically 20 years experience under the belt as an entrepreneur, if you could go back and talk to the slightly younger Marquesa of 20 years ago and give her some thoughts, some ideas, maybe some strategy, some vision, whatever. And by the way, everything worked out like it was supposed to. That's not a good enough answer. Sorry. You got to give me more than that.
Hey, when people say that, right?
what would you say to younger Marquesa?
The younger Marquesa would I would say to the younger Marquesa, I know you love the creative world. You are great in your theater, drama, dance, broadcast, communication classes, but I really need you to focus more time on the mathematical classes. I know you sucked at trigonometry, but I want you to learn how to manage money. I want you to learn how to, I don't know, some of the classes that I did not take seriously when I was younger. And I did it. I did all the work, did fine. But and especially when you get to the college level and you can more so choose your classes, I wish I had known, or I would tell Marquesa, please take some classes on running your own business, accounting, or anything like that. I would definitely say that, because I had zero interest in that as a kid. And, it can hurt you in business. Yeah. So that's what I would say to the younger Marquesa. Yeah.
That's about what I say to my kids now. Just saying, okay? All right. So if you had 3 resources, 3 books, 3 something that you would recommend to the entrepreneurs out there that would help them along their journey, that have helped you out, what comes to mind?
Oh my goodness, this is easy. I would share one resource is, are you using Zoom are you using Zoom smartly, or are you not? And you can go to my website to get that resource. And I guess we can bring that up later, but download that, because let me tell you something, as an entrepreneur, the way you use Zoom matters. Stop using it like your church uses it, or, Weight Watchers use it, or, or your buddy that works at such and such company uses it. It's important to use it as an entrepreneur. Use the branding on it. Use the technology. Use the unlimited cloud storage part. Does that save me time? So many things. The AI that's within Zoom is so many ways to use, whether it's Zoom or any other kind of technology. Use Zoom smartly. So that'd be one resource. Another resource is to go to, well, I guess there's different sites. Go to zoom2income.com, Zoom2income, you're taking your income up. If you have a regular Zoom account and you need to take it to the top level, and the top level, again, I call the entrepreneurship level. And again, this resource is everything, because it moves you from coach to first class, and it enables you to just literally leverage this tool. And the third resource, I love that you said books, because I do have the roadmap to the lifestyle business. So trying to think of how do I want you guys to get access to that. For now, go to liveyourbestbizvirtually.com, liveyourbestbizvirtually.com. And that's where you can get everything. If you just go there, forget any other site, liveyourbestbizvirtually.com. Because I've talked about lifestyle business, and wouldn't it be great for you to figure out, okay, I love this in my business, but this over here sucks, and really be able to the goal isn't to come up with perfection. I don't think that exists. The goal is just to come up with happy, what makes me happy, that kind of thing. So those would be my resources in terms of my resources that I could use, that I can share with you. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for that. And as we're wrapping up here, what final thoughts would you want to offer the entrepreneurs on their journey out there, whether they're budding entrepreneurs, veteran entrepreneurs, seasoned entrepreneurs? The final nuggets from Marquesa, what would they be?
My goodness. Well, it's got, Wrigley, it's got to be about technology. I would really do what I call kind of like a mini technology assessment. Part one is the report card. You remember the report card from when you were in school? And part two is kind of the inventory. Why? Because right now, technology, the microphones, the webcams, the stream decks, the online stuff, all of that is super duper popular. And it's so easy to say, oh, I'm going to give that a shot. Oh, I'm going to give that a shot. And then you're building up all of these different tools or apps or technology, and it's not moving the needle in your business. So my advice is do that mini assessment with yourself and sit down and go, okay, is this helping me do this? Is this helping me do this? Is this helping me do this? And it will make all the difference in the world. Even me, I'm addicted to apps. I'm addicted to them. But I have personally told myself, no, you know what? If that app is good, it will be there in 6 months, right? It'll be there in a year. So you know what? I'm not going to download that right now. Or I'll take a screenshot and put it in what I call my parking lot vision board, so I can come back to it at a later date. So it's important that you're clear about using technology in a way that moves the needle in your business, income, influence, productivity.
There you have it, everybody. Heard from the smart tech wizard. First up, Marquesa Pettway.
That's right.
And of course, check the links below here. You know the drill, everybody. Go down, find some resources here. We're going to make sure you have all that you can get from Marquesa. Thank you so very much for giving us the time today. Deeply appreciate you. And let's just keep on this entrepreneurial journey. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And you're a fantastic interviewer, by the way. Thank you.